Good afternoon. Welcome to Cohn and Hensley. That's Ryan G. Hensley. I'm Grant Cohn.
Grant L. Cohn.
Grant L. Cohn. And the L stands for loss. That's what the Niners did. They took the big L.
Yeah.
They were talking about who should win the MVP. No, Brock should win it. No, Christian should win it. No, Brock should. No, you're better. No, you're better. Lamar's going to win it.
Yeah.
Ravens smacked the Niners. I don't know what you want to call it. Was it a reality check? After the game, a lot of the players were saying stuff like that. Like, we'll be ready next time. That's what Lil North said. Be ready next time. Or Juszczyk said, it got their attention. It got their attention. So I guess the Niners were riding high, and now they're back down to earth. And let's start off with the head coach. A lot of people are scratching their head trying to figure out what his game plan was trying to accomplish. What did you think of Kyle Shanahan's? What did you think his blunders were?
He has several. I didn't like the game plan from the beginning. It just didn't seem like they were playing to the weaknesses of the Ravens or the strengths of the 49ers. CMC is the strength of 49ers. The weakness against that defense, a really good defense, it's not the DBs, as we saw last night. It's against the rush, right? So they should have played to their strengths, ran CMC heavy in the beginning. It was a strange, unique game plan from Kyle Shanahan that I didn't understand from the beginning. That's where it started. Then I thought, hey, they had a little success in the second quarter running CMC. They're going to come out in the third quarter and running for sure. No, they didn't do that. The biggest blunders to me, though, is you're down by 21 points and you're continuing to have this slow pace.
Yeah.
If you're losing by especially 21 points, you have to pick up the pace. You have to run the no-huddle offense right then and right there, starting in the third quarter. But they waited until like 6 minutes and 45 seconds when Sam Darnold came in. They don't practice it at all, according to Kyle Shanahan. They don't practice the 2-minute offense, according to Kyle Shanahan. And then they didn't run the no-huddle offense until Sam Darnold gets in. It's like it made no sense to me. It's like he gave up on the game in the third quarter. Kyle Shanahan basically, it seemed like he gave up. And then he tried to start it back up.
Well, there's another way to interpret that. He lost confidence in Brock Purdy. He didn't want Brock Purdy to go fast because, frankly, he was struggling going slow. And then when Brock Purdy got taken out of the game, Kyle Shanahan had more confidence in Sam Darnold to lead a 2-minute drill because, I don't know, because he likes Sam Darnold, because Darnold has more experience. I don't know what Kyle sees in Sam, but he sees it. I asked for an assessment of Darnold's performance, and Kyle gushed about it.
Did it feel like he didn't want Brock to get a fifth interception? Is that what it felt like to you? It kind of felt like that to me. It felt, like, why? So Brock gets out.
He didn't seem to care about the first four. I mean, it kept the pedal to the metal on the first four.
But Brock gets a stinger. He comes out. He's cleared to play. He's good to go back in. He's like, no, we're going to go with Sam Darnold. So, a lot of people are like, hey, the offensive line is beat up. They didn't want to risk Brock Purdy getting injured. But then they have conflicting things. When I'm seeing Sam Darnold's able to run the no huddle offense, but you don't try it with Brock. If Brock is your quarterback, man, you can't not trust him in that situation. It's not about not trusting him. It's about you're down by 21 points. This is what you have to do now if you want to win. And it felt like Kyle Shanahan decided early that this game was over and they weren't trying to win. But what's crazy about it, Grant, is that Sam Darnold scored. They didn't run the no huddle offense until Sam Darnold get in. They got in, and I think they scored about the 4:30 mark, and they were only down by 2. Then they're like, oh, let's run this no huddle offense again. And they almost scored before the 2.5. If it wasn't for some bad play calling from Kyle Shanahan in that situation, they might have scored. And then it's a 1-possession game. So what happens if you run this hurry up offense earlier? This game didn't make any sense from Kyle Shanahan.
I agree. You're right. It felt like he was trying to pad Brock Purdy's stats after a bad third quarter. Because, I mean, you're absolutely right. It doesn't make any sense. And the fact that he went hurry up with Sam Darnold makes it even weirder. Like, what were you doing? But I just want to go back and point out, it was 16-12 at halftime. Niners get the ball to start the second half. First drive, they go 3 and out, and on 3rd and 5, Brock Purdy throws the ball off Ronald Darby's face. Remember that?
Yeah.
He was trying to get to Willie Snead. He throws it off Ronald Darby's face. That's a really alarming throw. I mean, that was as bad as any play he made in the game. It just wasn't intercepted.
Mm-hmm.
Ravens score a touchdown on the next drive. It's 23-12. Niners get the ball back. First play. Intercepted. Return down to the 9. Next play, touchdown Ravens. Now it's 30-12. I mean, it's the game over right there because of Brock. Then he gets the ball back on the next series. First pass behind Debo, and that Stevens got 21, drops a pick. Like, he was awful in the third. So I do understand Kyle Shanahan, I guess, losing confidence in him at some point. But at the same time, if that's what the deal is, then bench him earlier. And I don't know if they did bench him. Yeah. He had to go to the medical tent again to get in another quarterback. But it's harder. I think it's hard to overstate how bad Brock Purdy was in this game. Like 4 turnovers plus 2 more that could have been picked. You can't play like that. Like, that's not managing the game.
And can we talk about the picks? Can we talk about them? Because there's a lot of excuse makers out there. Now, Brock.
Well, hold on. Let's talk about. Let's get into Purdy right now.
Okay.
Did Kyle Shanahan bench him? And then we'll get into the pick. We'll get into the picks one by one. But did Kyle Shanahan bench him?
I mean, this is tricky. So yes, Brock Purdy was able to play. He got hurt. He came out. He was able to get back in. He asked Kyle Shanahan if he can go in, and Kyle Shanahan said no. You know. Now the question is, why did Kyle Shanahan say no? Is it because he's worried he was going to get injured? Is it because he thought Sam Darnold gave him a better opportunity? It's probably the first one because of the O-line, I'm guessing. But it's strange. It's just Kyle just gave up on this game, it felt like to me, way too early. And I don't understand it. They were in a position, like, if he calls better plays, they are down by a touchdown before the 2-minute mark. If he runs the no huddle earlier, they could have been in that situation with a lot more time to go than they had. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make sense to me what transpired in this game. I'm trying to understand it. Did he feel like Darnold might have gave them a better opportunity pushing the ball downfield in that game? Did he feel like Brock was just not at his peak, or was it simply because he didn't want Brock to get injured based on the deterioration of the O-line? I don't know, but it's interesting.
We'll never know, but it's clear that Purdy got cleared, wanted to come back in the game, put his helmet on. I don't know what he said to Kyle Shanahan, but he said something. And clearly he was making a statement by standing there with his helmet on. The statement was, this is national television. The camera's panning to me. They can't hear what I'm saying, but they can see that I want to go back in the game. I'm ready to go back in the game. My helmet's on. And I do believe the television caught Kyle Shanahan sort of covering his mouth with his play sheet and talking to Brock Purdy. I can imagine he's saying something like, I mean, what would Brock Purdy say in this situation? I'm ready to go back in, coach. And I can see Kyle Shanahan saying, you're done.
Yeah, I don't
Who
know
knows why? To protect him? That's what I'll tell the media. And maybe that's part of it, right? There's never one reason to do things. But I think Kyle Shanahan's been waiting to get a look at Sam Darnold for a while. And frankly, Sam Darnold was moving the ball better than Brock Purdy. Sam Darnold came in and they were moving the ball a little bit, and then he threw a pick in the end zone too. And it's like, okay, yeah, same thing.
Yeah, that pick though, to me, that was a product of bad play calling, and he was in a situation where he had to just throw something.
The worst thing was the sack he took on the previous play.
That was a bad play call.
But at the same time, it was a terrible play call. It was 3rd and goal at the 1.
Right. Yeah.
That's
another bad play call by Kyle Shanahan was the when they went for it on 4th down with Brock Purdy, and they, instead of just punching it, they were like a yard away. They called some play action BS that didn't work. So Kyle had a bunch of bad play calls, but in that situation with Sam Darnold, in his final interception, it didn't really bother me because I feel like at that point it was desperation, had to make a play. I feel like this game was lost by Kyle and Brock exclusively. It just was bad. And maybe Shanahan was benching Purdy because he wanted to see what Sam Darnold could do, or maybe he was protecting him. I don't know. But it was just a disaster overall last night. And it looked like Purdy definitely wanted to go back in, was asking to go back in, and Kyle said no. So maybe there's a follow-up question there. I don't know if it was asked last night in the press conference, but the question is, what did Brock say? And, why did you not let him come back in the game?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question. I feel like this is a pattern with Kyle Shanahan and his quarterbacks. Like the first interception, they're moving the ball down the field. Then Brock Purdy throws that was the worst pick, the one he throws in the end zone. You're in the red zone. You can't take that chance. You didn't read the coverage correctly. You took points off the board. You were going to have a guaranteed 3 points there. You should have had 7. So you do that, and it's like, okay, well, you're clearly a little amped up for a Monday night game on Christmas where you're going to be anointed as the MVP. It was a huge game. It was like his coronation on national television. He was amped up, and he doesn't normally play like that. So as a coach, I would think, okay, I got to calm this guy down. We're going to do something different. We're going to calm him down. Great way to do that is to run the ball. Hey, man, you're handing off for a while, okay? Yeah. Calm down. It's not about you. Because there was an open use check right in front of him on that interception. He tried to it was like in Jacksonville where he did that no, yes touchdown to Brandon Ayuk. Like, dude, Stop doing that. It's not about you right now. Run the freaking ball. He didn't do that though. He called pass after pass after pass. And you could say it's bad luck, but clearly Brock Purdy was pressing and was amped up and he was snowballing. It got worse as the game went on. And it ends with him essentially getting benched and chewed out on national television by Kyle Shanahan. Like, dude, way to de-escalate the situation. You can go to the press conference afterward and be like, I believe in Brock. It was bad luck, yada, yada, yada. But we all saw what happened, man. Brock felt it. And now the whole team is like, man, do we believe in this quarterback? Does our coach believe in this quarterback? Are we back in this Jimmy Garoppolo situation? It's like, you did all of that, Kyle. You could have de-escalated the situation, but you made it worse, I think.
I think we need to talk about these interceptions too, because I'm seeing a lot of caping for Brock. Look, Brock Purdy, just because Brock Purdy had this game doesn't mean I think Brock Purdy's a bad quarterback. He's done a lot of good things this season. His numbers overall still look really good, but Brock played horrible yesterday. And all those interceptions were Brock Purdy's fault. I'll give him a 50-50 one on the one where he got hit at the same time he was throwing it. You got to be aware of that, and you got to get the ball out. So that's on Brock too. So I'll give that one 50-50. The rest of the time, look, interception is not on a quarterback. If the quarterback throws it accurately, it tips off the receiver's hands, and it becomes an interception, or the receiver runs the wrong route. We saw one of those from Brandon Ayuk in previous weeks. That's not on a quarterback. But every single one of these passes hit a defender's hands first. Every single one. Now, again, the one where he got hit and he threw it and he was kind of falling down, we can blame that 50-50 on the pass protection, but also on Brock for not getting the ball. Right, but the rest of these, right, the one to Kittle, everyone's saying, oh, that was on Kittle because it hit him in the chest. Well, it went through hit the defender's hand, through Kittle's hands, then hit him in the chest. So the defender was right there to make a play. That's on Brock. The one where it got tipped behind the line of scrimmage, that's on the quarterback. You can't allow the team to tip the ball, right? I remember when other quarterbacks in the past, Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance, when the ball was tipped and it was an interception or tipped, we always blame the quarterback. We got to be able to do that with Brock.
Also, I don't like playing like the bad luck, good luck game because they never acknowledge the good luck a quarterback has. You could even argue that a couple of those picks were bad luck. Like, hey, you you didn't make a bad decision. You didn't necessarily misread the coverage. That guy just made a phenomenal play that he wouldn't make 9 times out of 10. But
correct.
What about? So you could explain away maybe 2 of the picks that way. But what about the 2 picks that the Ravens dropped that were awful decisions, awful throws that were gift wrapped? Yeah. You don't talk about that. So they weren't picked and they don't count. Seems to me that the luck evens out. You want to point to a quarterback's bad luck, I can point to his good luck every time.
Right.
What matters is the end result. It was awful. And Kyle Shanahan would rather have Sam Darnold on for the end. And if you say it was just about protecting Brock Purdy, then how come all of a sudden they went no huddle up tempo with Sam Darnold on the field? I think that's the tell.
Yeah.
I think that's the tell. All of a sudden, Kyle's like, all right, forget trying to prop up Brock Purdy and, save his MVP campaign at the expense of this game. Let's go, Sam. You've done a 2-minute drill before. Let's do it.
It almost felt like they were using that injury as an opportunity to tell Brock, basically, this isn't your game. Not that he's going to be benched moving forward or that he's done. It's just, hey, man, you don't have it today. So
you don't.
We're going to roll Sam. Yeah.
And again, I think Kyle Shanahan could have saved it. That snowballed, and I think Kyle Shanahan could have saved it just by handing off for a quarter. Yeah. Relax. Like, you're going to be a spectator for a while. When you calm down, I'll let you play football. But you're a little overamped. Had a little too much high C before the game. A little too much Pepsi. You're going to need to calm down.
Yeah.
Could have done that. I mean, coaches do that. Instead, it all escalated, and he got benched and injured. And Sam Darnold's playing, and Kyle has to explain it all afterward. It's kind of like, I don't know, like you always compare a quarterback's relationship or a head coach's relationship to a quarterback like a marriage. It feels like when Kyle gets into a fight, it escalates. And he can't diffuse it. And it ends up with 5 interceptions, a benching, like a weird conversation on TV where he's covering his mouth, and like an explanation that doesn't add up. It's like, man,
Right.
was all this necessary? Was it?
Yes. Yeah. So either he benched Brock Purdy because he wanted Sam Darnold to win the game, or he gave up on the game. It's one of those two, because Brock Purdy was healthy and ready to go in. So he either decided, hey, we need to protect you. You already got hurt. The offensive line is depleted. We're going to leave you out and let Sam finish that game. Either that's what happened, or he just gave up on the game. Or I guess there's a third one. He thought that Sam Darnold might be able to bring him back. I don't know. There's one of those 3 scenarios. Who really knows what happened here? But it's crazy that this happened, and Brock Purdy was available and still didn't go back in.
I thought it was interesting, kind of like Kyle doesn't necessarily put his arm around the quarterback when things are going wrong. I mean, we remember the Jimmy Garoppolo experience. He chews you out and lets everyone know it's your fault. He does it on television. And, we all think Brock's so poised. He's so confident. He's so mature beyond his years. It's hard when Kyle does that to you, to maintain your composure and be like, all right, let's just block all that out and go back to being the confident young man that I am. Like, nah, Kyle's pissed. I'm amped. Lamar's here. And it's getting worse. It was really interesting to see that happen to Brock Purdy, because, again, he's been so good with adversity. But in this game, he unraveled, and it got worse as it went on. I feel like the coach is complicit. I really feel like this is Kyle's fault. Brock Purdy gets all the criticism, and Kyle gets to go to the press conference and be like, we lost because of the turnovers, i.e. Purdy's turnovers. But then he can also be like the nice guy, be like, but it wasn't his fault, and there was some bad luck. But we lost because of the turnovers. But it wasn't all his. It's like, come on, man. Yeah. You could have avoided that. That's why people run the ball, because it's safe.
Yeah.
How many times has McCaffrey turned it over this year? Once?
Twice.
2 times. Yeah. You're right. 2 times. 2 times. Okay.
Yeah, man. It was. I don't understand a lot of that game. It just felt like he gave up. I don't. It just doesn't make sense to me. There was an opportunity for the 49ers to make a statement that they're the best team in the NFL, and they failed to make that statement. I was hoping they had an opportunity to come back and win that game for the first time, right? We haven't seen a real comeback win, especially against a good team. They had that opportunity. They didn't take advantage of it. That's what I was hoping for. It was just a blunder. Now, does this game mean that they're going to collapse for the rest of the season? No, not necessarily.
No.
Right.
No. It was just one of these games where they played way below their quote unquote standard in every way. Not even, it's like, and it wasn't just a failure of execution. It was a failure of game planning and coaching and preparation and execution.
Yeah, all of it.
All right.
All of it.
We're going to get into Sam Darnold and what this loss means for the playoffs and MVP stuff and the defense. But first, we're going to play a little prize picks, because I like prize picks. So it's early in the week and we don't have that many to choose from, but we do have these quarterbacks. So why don't we pick the top 4? Or we could pick 6. I like 6. Flacco. Is he going to win the Super Bowl? 226.5 passing yards against the Jets. Dude, what are you taking? I know what I'm taking.
I don't know, man. Flacco does his thing. Jets are a good defense, but I don't know if they're involved in it anymore. They're basically eliminated from the playoffs. So I'm going to say more. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
more.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
More. I think there's 2 teams the Niners don't want to face in the Super Bowl. Ravens and Browns.
Or Bengals.
Yeah, Bengals wouldn't be great, but I think the Niners would rather face Jake Browning than Joe Flacco.
Here's the thing: the Browns and the Ravens, they out-physicaled the 49ers, which is what the 49ers game is.
Exactly.
Whereas the Bengals kind of just carved them up. But yeah, we got out-physicaled by the Browns.
If the Niners lose 2 Super Bowls to Joe Flacco, you might just have to end the franchise.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But
that could happen. Jared Goff, 261.5 pass yards against Dallas.
I'm going to say under.
Interesting
on that
game.
One. Yeah, I'm going to say less on that one.
Less.
Yeah.
Who do you think's going to win that game?
I don't know, man. That's going to be telling, because we haven't played the Lions yet. We played the Eagles, we played the Cowboys, and we think we're the kings of the NFC, but the Lions are still out there, man. So I'm curious to see what happens between them and the Cowboys. I think the Lions are going to.
I think the Lions are really good, man. They don't have a great defense, but who do the Niners anymore? They've given up a lot of points the last 2 weeks. All I know is that the Lions are too deep at running back. about 4 deep at wide receiver, and they got a nice young rookie tight end and a good wide offensive line.
There's 2 teams I don't know if the 49ers are better than in the NFC. One of them is the Lions. One of them is the Rams.
Yeah.
The Rams took the Ravens to overtime.
Yeah.
It was a lot closer than this game. So we'll see what happens.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
All right, Prescott 275.5 against Detroit. Dak Prescott.
I think I'm gonna say more.
More.
Yeah. Okay. Dak is cooking, man. He got the most touchdowns in the NFL. I know he struggled a little bit, but he has the least interceptions, most touchdowns. So he has a big opportunity to put his name back in the race for MVP.
Okay, last one. Josh Allen against the Patriots, 246.5.
More. I'm going to say more.
They're trying Patriots are trash.
Yeah, they're trying to get their way into the playoffs. Patriots are not good. I'm going to say.
Okay, bonus one. I didn't like that one. Bonus one. Matthew Stafford, 255.5 against the Giants.
More.
Easy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like one of the hotter teams in the league.
Yeah. And the Giants are bad.
All right, so if you're keeping track at home, we had Joe Flacco more, Jared Goff less, Dak Prescott more, Josh Allen more, and Matthew Stafford more this week. If you want to just copy our picks, because we're always right, use promo code Cohn, COHN, when you make your entry, and you'll get a 100% deposit match up to $100. So if you put down 100, they put down 100. That's just how it goes. That's our prize picks for the week. Let's see if we're right. Hold on. I have to actually lock it in. Place the entry. Done. All right. Next, we got, let's just pay Sam Darnold tribute for a minute. They said he could be the next Steve Young. He got his opportunity.
Yeah.
What did you think of Sam Darnold's performance?
I was actually impressed with Sam Darnold, man. To be honest, I really thought Sam Darnold played pretty good outside. So you take away the last play, which is the interception. That was kind of a desperation thing. That's like, we got to make something happen. So I don't really put that one against him, but he moved the ball really well. He was able to score a passing touchdown, which Brock wasn't able to do in that game. Mm-hmm. So he came in. He does throw the ball really well. He had a lot of like juice on those throws, right? Line drives to the out. So it looked good. He can throw the ball. Obviously he's known for those mental mistakes, and he had a nice scramble. So he's not as agile in the pocket as Brock Purdy, but overall, I was actually a little bit impressed with Sam Darnold. Now, it didn't look like Steve Young, and it's a small sample size, so who knows? He could be, way worse than we saw last night or better than we saw last night. But overall, I thought the offense looked good. Ayuk finally got involved when Darnold got in the game. He didn't look that bad to me.
I think what you're saying, and I'm not trying to tell you what you're saying, but what I'm hearing and what I agree with is that he wasn't worse than Purdy.
He was not worse than Purdy. No, not at all.
In fact, he was better than Purdy yesterday.
Yes, correct.
And I don't know why, but he was.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with Purdy yesterday. It didn't look like himself. Those windows were. Here's the thing: those windows of those passing windows for Brock Purdy were a lot smaller yesterday. The coverage was great. Those guys were on those guys tough. Guys were not wide open. And I think when you can throw the ball hard and fast like Darnold can, that might help you in those situations with those smaller windows. Sometimes you got to squeeze them in tight windows, right? And Darnold was able to do that. Some of his throws were impressive yesterday. He's got a cannon. So Matt Maiocca may have been right. I don't know, but all I know is that Darnold looked good and he was able to make throws that Brock was not yesterday.
Can I tell you? So after the game, I asked Kyle what he thought of Sam Darnold. No one asked. I wanted to know because Kyle will tell you. That's what I like about Kyle. And he said, I thought he came in and did a good job, real good job. Led us to a touchdown there. Wish we would have scored again there at the end. He was in a tough situation there with some of the 2-minute stuff, to your point, Ryan. Some of the guys who were just in and out with some of the receivers, the O-line, just some of the injuries and substitutions we had. But he had good command, and I didn't see what happened at the end. I was looking down the field. I don't know what happened on the sack, so I'll review that, but I was happy with Sam.
Yeah, he should have threw the ball away on that sack. But like he says, I mean, that's the other thing. The offensive line, right? It was depleted. So that's why everyone said they pulled Brock out. Well, that's the line that Sam Darnold was working with, and he did a pretty good job overall. He was moving the offense. So it does make you wonder, like, what he would look like with more time. Not that we're going to get it. I'm not saying Brock Purdy's bench or that they're going to replace him with Sam Darnold because, you know,
but if Brock Purdy has another stinker, you know, in the back of Kyle's mind, he liked what he saw from Darnold. He said he liked what he saw from Darnold. So if he starts seeing Purdy going down the tubes again, he could say, "Oh, your stinger's acting up. You're not benched. You're injured."
They're going to play the Commanders next week. So
they're going to score 75 points.
They're going to ball out, and it's going to be
82-7.
Yeah. The only way we see Sam Darnold is if, you know, knock on wood, I think if something was happening to Brock Purdy if he was to get injured, then we would see Sam Darnold. But I don't think he's benching Brock Purdy at all based on one game. He's going to give him another opportunity, and Brock Purdy should ball out against the Commanders. They're not good.
You know, it's too bad. Kyle missed his opportunity. I tried to tell him as quality control extraordinaire, but I said, bench Purdy for the Bengals game. Say he has a concussion because he was in the concussion protocol. They ended up losing that game anyway, and Purdy was terrible. Play Darnold in that game. They could have seen what they had from him over a full 60 minutes, and they missed that opportunity.
Yeah, I think you were right. I think that was an opportunity, and you know, it's always good to be cautious when it comes to concussions, anyway.
Yeah.
So they could have been
a short week.
Cautious. It was a short week. Could have been cautious with Brock Purdy, and let Sam Darnold play, and then they could have seen what they had in him at least for that one game. If he sucked, he sucked. You go back to Brock. No harm, no foul. So I think you're right. That was an opportunity that was missed.
I want to get full conspiracy theories here. I'm in the mood today. I'm in the freaking mood. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So he leads a touchdown drive. Okay. Then he leads another one. They're at the 1 yard line, right? 3rd and goal from the 1. What does Kyle call? What? A pass.
A pass.
Why? Why?
It was stupid.
Because he wants that on Darnold's stat line. He could just hand it off to Christian McCaffrey, but if Darnold throws a second touchdown pass and cuts it to a 1-score game after Purdy threw no touchdown passes and 4 picks, Kyle doesn't have to say a damn thing. It's a quarterback controversy. I will say that. It was this close,
Let's
Ryan.
think about this.
It was this close, and Kyle set it up. He could have ran in. They could have done a quarterback sneak, but no. Throw it, Sam. Make this interesting, and he blew it because he's Sam Darnold. I'm sorry. He took a sack. Maybe it's not his fault.
Let me back up your conspiracy. Not that I necessarily believe it to be true or not.
I don't know that I believe it to be true. I just want to say that.
They snatched Sam Darnold up on the first day of free agency. That's evidence one.
They like him. They like him, not just like him.
Correct. And they compare him. They say, why can't he be the next Steve Young? Right?
Yeah,
they
why
said
not?
that about him. Matt Maiocco comes out love Matt. I love Matt to death.
Me too.
But he comes out and says he's the greatest thrower of the football in 49ers history. Where did Matt?
And Kyle agrees with it.
Right. Where did Matt get this information from?
Kyle even said, "I heard it. It seems reasonable to me."
Yes. Right. And then I see. Is it? Then they get rid of the guy. They spent 3 first-round draft picks in favor of Sam Darnold. Now, a lot of people think that's because they want to get rid of the drama.
Gave up 3 first-round draft picks for Sam Darnold. Essentially.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Exactly. So
because he took that guy's spot.
Hey, I don't know if I believe in the conspiracy or not fully. We'll see how things play out.
Dude, that pass call on 3rd and goal from the 1 tells me all I need to know. Because again, if he has that 2 touchdowns down by 1, he leads his comeback running no huddle. Everyone would have put the pieces together and been like, actually, what would his quarterback rating have been if he had thrown a second touchdown pass there? 130? Would have been crazy. Someone could do the math, but Kyle almost set that up. It's just, Darnold gonna Darnold. I'm sorry. I don't think he was that great. I think quarterbacks look good in this. I think if you put Nick Mullins on this team, he'd be lighting it up. You put CJ Beathard on this team, he'd look pretty good until he started throwing picks like everyone else.
The thing about Darnold, though, his passes just look crisp, which is different. Which is different.
Anyone's passes are going to look crisp compared to – sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And you don't have to throw super hard to be a good quarterback. Like Mahomes, a lot of time is throwing pillows out there, although he can – throw with the
the difference is the difference is can you if you need to.
Yeah.
And Brock can do it in short areas. He can't do it really long distances, but he it hasn't hindered him up until this point so far. So maybe it's a non-issue, but I feel like every coach would want that if it was an option, right? I don't think if you ask Kyle
Brock,
Shanahan,
it's like, look, you don't have the ideal size that a coach would want. You don't have the ideal arm strength that a coach would want. That's why you didn't go anywhere better than Iowa State. But you're on a heater. You're the dude at the crap table who's throwing sevens all freaking day, and no one's gonna take the dice out of your hand. But at a certain point, you're gonna crap out, and people are gonna be like, "All right, his run of luck is over," and they might pull the plug on you a little too soon or whatever. And I think Kyle Shanahan's ready, man. It's like, okay, I don't really know why you keep winning, but eventually you're not, because you're not an MVP. So I got a backup plan just in case. And what did he say? That Brock would have to have a total meltdown to get benched? He has days where he has total meltdowns, like yesterday. So Sam,
I don't think Brock's gonna get benched. I think he's gonna have to be injured. He's done too much. But
he's lucky he's got Washington coming in. He doesn't have like an actual good team, good defense coming in.
He's going to ball out. But then against the Rams, they're going to have to hang with those guys offensively. Now, Niners could slow them down, but that's a good offense over there in LA right now. So we'll see on the final game of the year.
All right, let's go to Super Chat City. Official BNA Music 88 says your boy, quote unquote. That sounds hostile. Said Lamar and Brock ran the same speed. Kyle should have called them Trey Lance run plays and used it to the Niners' advantage. Yeah. That 30-yard run by Lamar Jackson might have been the most impressive run I've ever seen by a quarterback. Go back and watch it in slow motion and see like how he breaks off Fred Warner at first on the left sideline, and then Jair Brown back in the middle of the field. People freak out and just fall over when Lamar Jackson is running in. I've never seen people just have anxiety attacks mid-play and just jump the wrong direction.
Mike Vick had a few crazy ones too. Yeah. Colin Kaepernick had one or two, but not as much like elusiveness as Lamar. But I think Vick is right there. I don't know who I would say is better, Vick or Lamar, at running the ball. That's a tough one for me.
I feel like it's a tough one. I might go with Lamar, but I feel like Lamar's way better at passing on the run. That's what I didn't understand about Lamar until I saw him in person. What makes him special isn't necessarily how he runs when he crosses the line of scrimmage, although he's the best quarterback I've ever seen at that. I think he's even better at stepping up and out of the pocket, keeping the play alive, and finding receivers. Because when he runs out of the pocket and starts scrambling towards the line of scrimmage, the defense is going to focus on him. Linebackers are going to leave their man to chase Lamar, and people are wide open, and he takes advantage of that so well.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
It's like, he just had a little dink throw, but it's like, yeah, but it worked. He's a dinker and a dunker.
One thing I took away from that game is just how much better Lamar Jackson is than Brock right now.
Yeah.
Right. Brock's good at certain things, but Lamar is really just a credible elite talent. And CMC as well. I mean, if there's a three-way MVP race in that game, it goes Lamar, CMC, and Brock in that race.
The Niners had the absolute wrong game plan. We can get into it at some point, but dude, all you have, if you keep Lamar Jackson in the pocket, I don't think he's a good enough pocket passer to beat the 49ers. But they didn't really make any effort to do that. They let him get out as much as he wanted, and man, I don't see how you beat him when you let him do that. I don't see how you can stop him. I think once he gets outside the pocket, I think he's the most dangerous player in the league, even more than Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, what's the strength for the Ravens? It's Lamar in the run game. He leads that team in rushing yards. So I don't understand why the plan that they had for Hurts, even though Hurts is not nearly as good at anything as Lamar, but at the same time, you want to keep Lamar in the pocket, make them beat you with their receivers who are not their strong point. Lamar is a strong point. You got to contain him. It didn't seem like it made much sense.
Zay Flowers is good, though.
Yes.
In person. See, to me, it felt like watching the Chiefs from a few years ago. He's got a lot of Mahomes and how he just can't. It's so hard to keep him in the pocket, and once he gets out, you're at his mercy. And then Zay Flowers looks like a young Tyreek.
Young Tyreek, yeah, he's nice. He's nice, but I'd rather Zay Flowers beat me than Lamar on the outside.
True. Zach Rivero says, I felt like the NFC championship game, sick to my stomach, hurt worse because of healthy roster. I hope Purdy can shake that off. I was okay with an L, but not a beatdown. It was a beatdown. They tried to put a little lipstick on at the end, but it was a beatdown.
Yeah. I bet you they flip it up if they play them in the Super Bowl. I bet you they go more to that Eagles game plan that they had on defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Niners maybe should beat the Ravens if they play them again. It's just a terrible game plan on both sides of the ball. Like with Lamar, Jeff, thank you for the $5. I appreciate that. With Lamar, to me, I'm just saying I'm rushing 5, like a lot, because if you rush 5 and you tell your defensive ends do not under any circumstances rush past the quarterback, keep him in the pocket like they did Jalen Hurts, I don't think he's going to beat you. I'm not saying he's a bad pocket quarterback, but I don't think he's good enough to beat the 49ers playing that way. But they were just rushing 4, and Chase Young and Cleveland Farrell and Nick Bosa were just wildly going past him. Like, all right, man. And they were saying before the game, man, we really respect him because he's staying in the pocket. Like, what are you trying to like compliment him into staying in the pocket? Like, he's gonna get out and he's gonna kill you. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, I think I actually think Lamar's good in the pocket, but not as good as he is outside the pocket. So if you're gonna get beat by Lamar, that's the way you want to get beat by
for
Lamar.
Sure.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I saw like when you see him in person and he's in the pocket, you can see receivers open before he gets rid of the ball. And maybe that's just because he likes extending the play. I don't know. But there'll be people open that he doesn't throw to in the pocket. And it's like,
he's not a timing
okay. I mean, if he could do that, he'd be the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yeah, he's not really that drop back timing quarterback, get the ball out like Brock. That's not really what he does. Yeah. Be nice if you could
take him over just about anyone.
It'd be nice if you could somehow combine the two.
You know? Felt like watching young Russell Wilson. Where it's like, this guy's not going to lose. This guy's an incredible competitor.
Yeah. No, he played great, man.
20-1 against the NFC in his career.
It's insane.
What?
Yeah.
I have a whole new appreciation for Lamar. I understand his strengths and weaknesses. I would take him over just about anyone. You know, Patrick Mahomes, great start to his career, having a little bit of a tough time this year, acting like a whiny little brat, frankly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What the hell is going on with him?
I don't know. I've been looking at it.
Suck it up.
I don't know. One thing I know that I like about Patrick more than Lamar is Mahomes won't take as many hits. Therefore, I feel like he's more durable long term. Yeah, that's the one thing that I worry about with Lamar.
Yeah. He's better than Lamar. But yeah. Him, Lamar, and Josh Allen are like the trifecta.
Yeah.
The 3 best, I would have to say. Miguel says this wasn't any other loss. Niners got manhandled. It's scary to know for a fact that Purdy can have one of these games. This is concerning going forward. Yup. And Josh Wyatt, who calls in a lot on the on my Cohn phone, made a comment on one of my videos yesterday saying this game is going to define the 49ers unless they win the Super Bowl. Like when you look back on the 2023 Niners, you're going to think of this game unless they win the Super Bowl, which is rough because they've always been able to be like, oh, you know, we're the best team, but we had some bad luck. No, you're not the best team. The Ravens are the best team until you get to play them again and prove that you're better.
This game changed a lot for me.
Yeah.
Because this game, to me, coming into it, I'm like, this is their opportunity to show the NFL, to show the world that they are the best team, and it is their Super Bowl to lose. That's what I thought. This is their opportunity for Brock Purdy to show that he's an elite quarterback, MVP. This is the opportunity that these guys had yesterday, and they didn't capitalize on any of these opportunities. And now I'm left with, can we really win a Super Bowl? You know, I think we're still going to get there, but when we get there, is it going to be like the last 2 Super Bowls? And it's 2 different outcomes. And
what I was thinking yesterday with watching the Niners look frankly soft against another AFC North team that punked them. I was thinking, you know, the Niners are like NFC tough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like being tough in Piedmont. They're NFC tough.
Right.
But when they face those AFC tough teams, all of a sudden, like they're the ones losing players. They're the ones dropping, getting punked. And I was thinking if they were an AFC team, they'd look a lot like Miami, who is a very good team. But in the AFC, they look just a little soft, don't they? Quarterback's a little small. Running back's a little small. I don't like what the Niners got. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's disconcerting.
It is, man. I mean, again, I don't want to go too doom and gloom. Like this isn't going to decide the season necessarily. They can still look, the Niners need to go on a 5-game winning streak to get the 1 seed and win the Super Bowl. They've done that twice this year. They can do it again. It's entirely possible.
They don't have to face the AFC. They don't have to play one more game against the AFC if they're lucky.
Right. But what this game could have meant was complete confidence that you are the most dominant team in the NFL. And now that confidence isn't there. Not for me, not for a lot of fans, and probably not for the Niners.
Well, you know what? Maybe it's good that they don't have that. Because you could call it confidence, but to me, the reality is that was a false sense of confidence because it's not true. You're not the best team in the league. You might be better than the Ravens, but they smoked you yesterday. So you got to go and prove it. Yeah. And you also got to prove you're better than the freaking Browns because they're better than they were when you faced them now because they got Joe Flacco. Jeff says, can you please ask Kyle if he will hire a mental game coach? PJ players do it. Kyle's head case nature ruins things for us.
I don't think you can ask that one. That might not go over well. Can you please hire a mental game coach?
Hey, Kyle, you choke a lot in big games. Right. We know that. Are you going to
do something about that?
Tutor.
Yeah.
Work on not choking.
Yeah. That might want to go.
I like it. I just can someone else help me with these questions. Why do I always have to be the one that gives Kyle
the tough questions?
Makes his vein pop out of his skull. I'm sorry, Kyle. Someone has to ask. My readers dared me to. Anoop says Harbaugh exposed Kyle out, coached and outclassed him. Ravens D-line and O-lines are larger and more ferocious than us, like the Browns. Kyle had no counter.
Outcoached.
Yeah, he did. It's because his name is Sam Darnold.
Harbaugh's underrated too, John. He's a great coach. Yeah.
Talk about a team that was prepared. Keep in mind, the Ravens had one less day to prepare, and they were on the road.
Yeah.
They look fresh. Peyton Diaz says classic Kyle horrendous play calling in a big game. Also seeing McKivitz at left tackle was atrocious. Doesn't seem like a team that can win the 6th.
That's a big concern. The offensive line and their health. That is a big, big concern for this team moving forward. Like, when do we find out? I don't know. I haven't had time to monitor the news coming out today in regards to the injuries. I've been so busy, but I'm curious to see what happens with Trent Williams. Has that been exposed? I mean, I know it's a groin injury.
Kyle did his conference call at 10 a.m. this morning, which is before injury news comes in. So we'll find out tomorrow, I guess. Unless
that could be a season.
Ian Rappaport. What?
That could be a regular season. It's entirely possible he misses the next 2 games, Trent Williams.
It seems to me, I've pulled my groin before, and I weigh half of what Trent Williams weighs. Like, that's a multi-week injury. And if you try to rush back, you just make it worse. I don't know. Travarius Ward injured his groin and came right back. So you never know how serious it is. But
and then Banks with his turf toe.
That doesn't sound good. That might be worse.
Yeah.
Dazza says some of the interceptions were Brock Purdy trying to do too much. While he's pulled off some great plays, why risk it? There were safer plays available last night. Agree. Trying to do too much, overamped. Moment was a little too big for him. Calm him down, Kyle. Be a coach. That's coaching.
Yeah.
Brother Greenlaw, Lil Decorum Bob says Ig missed it. What's Kyle Shanahan's reason for benching Brock Purdy? Protection. Down 3 offensive linemen. Kindness of his heart. Keith Murphy, the unbeaten, says he really could have thrown 6 picks.
7.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And some weren't his fault, sure, but like that game happened. Charles Michael Sinclair says Harbaugh is coming to the Chargers. You demand. I call that. How could you not? That's a
wait. What?
Harbaugh is coming to the Chargers.
Jim Harbaugh is going to the Chargers.
I mean, I don't know if that's.
Is that like
for
something?
Certain?
Okay, I thought you said.
But it should happen.
This was like a report.
I'd want that job. Or him.
Yeah.
Keith Murphy says keep this team away from the AFC North. They were more physical and knocked out our players. Yeah.
We like to be the bullies, and we got out bullied. It's like when
here to listen to Grant turn his back on Brock. I'm not turning my back on Brock. Turn my back on you. Sorry, that was me singing Sade.
The Niners are like bad. The Niners are like they're the bully at their small school in the suburbs, and then they go to get transferred to the AFC, which might be a little tougher area, and then they find out they're not as much bullies as they think they are.
Wasn't TCU in the national championship last year against Georgia?
Yes.
Okay. The Niners are like feeling a lot like TCU right now. Like, hey, cool season in the Big 12 or wherever the hell you play.
Right.
But now you're playing Georgia, okay?
Right. Yeah.
So that's over. I don't know. Boxing fan times 4. Hold on. Charles Michael Sinclair says Krug's still rather have Purdy over Herbert. I'll ask him. Not today, though. He's got some Christmas responsibilities, or so he says. I don't know. Boxing fan times 4 says Lions can be a problem due to Campbell's risk taking.
He doesn't give
I think
up.
that's a tough team with a lot of talent on offense.
Yeah. He doesn't care.
I don't know about their defense. They got Kirby Joseph, who intercepts a lot of passes.
And surprisingly, Jared Goff's statistics are almost identical. Not identical, but very close. I mean, look, 1% difference on completion percentage. 66 yards total, 2 touchdowns. He has 2 less touchdowns than Brock and 1 less interception. They're almost identical statistically.
Manny PSF 95 says quarterbacks with a 4-pick game: Josh Dobbs, Nick Mullins, Taysom Hill, Andy Dalton, Zach Wilson.
Those are some
This year?
elite dudes. There's more quarterbacks
Taysom
that have.
Hill?
Yeah, but you're kind of cherry picking here. I mean, Tom Brady had one. Like all these elite
Oh,
quarterbacks
okay.
have also had him. Peyton Manning has had him. Like, yeah.
Well, the
it's not
Niners
just-
trade up for a quarterback in round 1. No, but they should draft another quarterback on day 3. It's Nick for real says just shows how soft the NFC is compared to the AFC. LOL, every quarterback has bad games. Kyle Shanahan sold, says Fabu. Okay.
Sold.
Sold.
Kyle's sold.
Brother Bob says, so why not protect CMC, BA, and Debo at that point? We don't believe it either, Brother Bob. We don't buy it.
He did. You know what, though? He did not let, like, Trent wanted to go back in the game, too, and he told him no. So I really think Kyle just gave up on this game way too early. I feel like there was no fight in him at the end of this game.
Brother Bob says, why do you have backup offensive line you don't trust to protect? I don't know. It's a good question.
Yes.
Tell me what this loss means for the playoffs.
We touched on a little bit. I would say it means nothing, but it also, like I said, if they won this game, my feelings would be Niners are winning the Lombardi Trophy. They beat the Ravens, best team in the NFL besides the 49ers. They beat all these NFC teams. Because they lost, now I question that. Now, ultimately, it doesn't mean anything for the 49ers because they're going to go out there and play the way they're going to play regardless. So it doesn't matter my confidence, what my confidence level is like. It matters how the Niners perform and execute on game day. So they can go out and go on this another run and win 5 games in a row and win the Super Bowl. But what it does for me is it makes me question, like, I thought this team was the unquestioned best team in the NFL coming into this game. Now I feel like that's not the case. It makes me question, can they beat the Rams in the playoffs? Can they beat the Lions in the playoffs? Can they repeat? Can that Cowboys or the Eagles have a good game against them in the playoffs? And if they get to that Super Bowl, are they going to win this time? Because the last 2 they've lost to AFC opponents, and this year they've struggled against AFC opponents. They're 2-3. And if it's the Ravens, I don't know. Maybe playing them once is a good thing, so they'll be better prepared the next time. And they can beat the Ravens, I believe. But it does give you a little bit of doubt.
Yeah, I mean, every time they face a great quarterback, their defense looks pretty inept. You know, they beat Dak, Jalen Hurts, Trevor Lawrence, Baker Mayfield, some decent quarterbacks, but they got smoked by Lamar. They got smoked by Joe Burrow. They got smoked by Kirk Cousins. And if they go in the playoffs and have to face Matthew Stafford, that'll be interesting because they faced Matthew Stafford earlier in the year when he didn't have Cooper Kupp. Now he does. That'll be interesting. And then, would they get smoked by Jared Goff? Probably not. But what about if they get to the Super Bowl and they have to face Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes or Lamar? I mean, I think they could handle Tua, frankly.
Yeah.
They could handle Tua.
Right.
But Josh Allen? I don't know about that. I don't know how good this defense really is.
And here's what else this loss means for the playoffs. It means they have to win the next 2 games to get the number 1 seed. It means they have to beat the Commanders, which they should on a short week, flying out. They should be able to beat this guy, right? The quarterback over there, I always forget Howell. He leads the NFL in interceptions and sacks. It's going to be a long day for him. I fully expect him to beat Washington. But that means week 18, that's a must-win game. Nobody's resting. You got to go out and beat Matt Stafford if you want to get the 1 seed. And the last time you played the Rams, you only won by what, 7, 8? 7. And then the team that just smacked you, the Ravens, went to overtime with these Rams, and the Rams only lost by like 6 or 7 or something like that.
Yep.
So the Rams did better against the Ravens than we did. They've won 5 out of their last 6 games. So this week 18 game is a playoff game, essentially. They have to win it to get the 1 seed. It's going to be a huge game. And because they lost this game, it means a lot more. Had they won this game, they could have took week 18 off, rested guys if they wanted to, had essentially 2 bye weeks and still had the 1 seed. So it's a big deal in that regard.
Definitely. As far as this game against the Ravens, how much is the defense at fault for the loss?
Look, man, like they had a couple of bad penalties. Thomas had a holding. Gibson had like 3 penalties in consecutive plays. It was bad. They couldn't contain Lamar. Who can? But honestly, who gives a damn about what the defense is doing? So there's statistics. If you look at the history throughout the NFL, if you have 2 more turnovers than the opposing team, you have like an 87% chance of losing or something like that.
Mhm.
If you have 3 more turnovers than the opposing team, you have a 90.7% chance of losing. So going into the halftime, the 49ers only had a 9.3% chance of winning that game based on your turnovers. Then they go out and turn it over again. Sam Darnold tops it off with turnover number 5. So, Lamar had that safety that counts as a turnover. So it's a 5-1 turnover ratio, us versus the opponent. You are not going to win games like that. You're just not going to. I don't care what the defense is. It's kind of like the defense is a bucket. And every time the offense turns the ball over, they put a big cup of water in that bucket. And you get to that 3rd and 4th cup of water, now the bucket's overflowing. You can't expect the defense to continue to hold up against Lamar Jackson when you're putting them in great field
I feel that though, but it's like I don't feel how the Niners can change if they're just like, well, we committed 5 turnovers, we didn't get any takeaways. You can't win that way. It's fluky. We'll do better next time. Like, well, why did you commit 5 turnovers? Why did you have no takeaways? To me, the fact that you let Lamar Jackson out of the pocket means that you're not going to have takeaways because he's so deadly outside the pocket. He makes great decisions. He sees the field. He protects the ball. And if you keep him in the pocket most of the game, he might throw you some. And then the other way, like, why did you commit 5 turnovers? Because you were way too focused on passing against a team that's way more vulnerable at stopping the run. And you have this great running back, and you decided you didn't want to feature him this week when you gave him like 25 freaking carries against terrible teams. There were games when you rode McCaffrey into the dirt against terrible teams. So to me, like, yeah, it's definitely a turnover issue, but they also need to understand that they had the wrong game plans, and that sort of led to this disparity. And the next time they play the Ravens, if they're lucky enough to play them again, if they have the right game plan on offense and defense, they might not lose the turnover battle 5-0. That's how.
You know what the 49ers have in common on every single one of their losses this year? They lost the turnover battle.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one. Every single one. This is a complimentary team. Yes, the defense could re-strategize and have a better game plan and how to contain Lamar, but none of that matters if you're turning the ball over.
That's true.
Now you can blame it on Kyle, and I think he deserves some blame there. And you can blame it on Brock, and he definitely deserves some blame there. You can blame it on both of them. But the bottom line is, between Kyle and Brock Purdy, they got to learn to stop turning the ball over against these teams because they're going to lose games, especially when you do it at that level, when it's 5-1.
It's true. I just want to point out that last week the defense gave up 29 to Arizona, and this week they gave up 33 to the Ravens. So they've had a great season, but they have some injuries. They're kind of exhausted, and they're not playing that well right now. I'm not blaming them for the loss, but it's alarming. Like, what are they going to do against the Rams in a couple of weeks? The Rams are playing really well on offense right now, and they have a Super Bowl winning quarterback who has as good of an arm as any quarterback in the league. Are the Niners going to give up 30 to the Rams? When they get in the playoffs, are they going to shut down the Cowboys like they always do, or is this defense running on fumes? Like, I don't know if that we know the answer to that.
We may not know the answer to that. One thing I think I know an answer to, though, is Eric Armstead is crucial to the success of this defense. I underrated him for years, and I think him not being there is a big part of why this defense struggles. He was out last week. He's out this week. Yeah. It's a big part of it. As good as shout out to Javon Kinlaw, who's done much better this year, who's had a best year of his career. But Eric Armstead is a huge difference maker, particularly against the run, and not having him has hurt them quite a bit.
Yeah. There's one more thing I wanted to say about the defense. Oh, no, but here's what I wanted to say. So what's interesting now is that the Niners need a bye week. Their defense is gassed. It happened at the end before the first bye week. It's happening now. Their defense is tired. It's an older defense. They need a bye week, and they'll get it if they win the next 2 games, but it's no guarantee they beat the Rams. And if they lose to the Rams and don't get that bye week,
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl. They might, but all of a sudden that Week 18 game is critical, and it's interesting.
Yeah. That's why this game was so important, because had they won this game, they could have rested Week 18 and had the bye week. But now they got to play out, right? And so it's definitely
win.
important and win. And a lot of people, there's that expression. I don't know what is the expression. It's the healthiest team, wins, right? That's kind of the rule for the NFL when you get to the playoffs. The healthiest team wins, and it's going to be an issue for a lot of teams. But right now, it's starting to bite them a little bit and catch up with them, particularly on the O line. And we got to get Eric Armstead back too.
That's right. All right. After this game, the MVP odds have totally shifted. Purdy was the favorite for a while, but now it's Lamar. Then it's number 2 is Christian McCaffrey. Number 3 is Tua. Number 4 is Purdy. I think that kind of reflects how the rest of the country viewed Purdy's performance. Like, it was that damaging to his perception, reputation, whatever you want to say. Like, he isn't even looked at as the MVP of his own offense anymore. And frankly, I don't think he is.
No.
So what do you think of these new odds?
I've been back and forth all year on regards to who the MVP is. It was always CMC, then I went to Brock, then I went back to CMC, then last week I had Brock. I'm back to CMC again. To me, what I saw from the Ravens was very poor performance from Brock Purdy, and CMC looked like himself, just underutilized. So to me, CMC is right now, I mean, I go back and forth because I'm seeing new stuff every week, but right now what I'm seeing is CMC is the best player on this team. And the other thing that we're not mentioning, because it's such a hard position to evaluate in this regard, but I think the absence of Trent Williams makes a very strong case for him being more important than even Brock. Because when you take Trent Williams out of there, everything kind of folds. CMC's production is in large part to running up that left side, left toss behind Trent Williams. Trent Williams could easily be MVP of this team, but I think it's going to be CMC is the best player on this team. That's how it's going to come out in the end. But I think we're sleeping on Trent Williams a little bit. But I think, unfortunately, because of the way Brock played yesterday, he probably doesn't have much of a chance outside of him just balling the hell out in these next 2 games.
I just don't think, like, I never understood how you could have Brock Purdy be the MVP when the Niners ranked 32nd in passing attempts. That never made sense to me. Show me an MVP quarterback whose team ranked dead last in pass attempts. Because it seems to me if you have an MVP quarterback, you can be a little bit more balanced than that. Niners rank 8th in rushing attempts and 32nd in passing attempts. Like, a lot of people point to the 99 Rams, greatest show on turf. I mean, they were 19th in passing attempts and 15th in rushing attempts. It just seems to me that on this team with McCaffrey, all these touches he has, he's clearly the MVP. He's the guy who produces not just efficiently, but at volume. Purdy was asked to be that guy last night and couldn't do that.
And then the one concerning statistic when it comes to Brock Purdy right now, too, is you brought up that the 32nd in passing attempts. And Brock's himself, he's 21st in attempts, but he's now tied for 25th, right? The 25th worst in interceptions. So despite the fact he's only 21st in attempts, he's 25th in interceptions. It's not good. So that's the one spot he's really got to improve on. And maybe he will. Maybe he won't throw any more the rest of the season. But what a difference.
Yeah, maybe he won't.
Makes.
Yep. Daza says Trent is crucial to us winning the Super Bowl. If he's dinged up, keep him out against Washington. We shouldn't need him to beat Washington. We do need him against the Rams. Yeah, it's true, but any game without Trent Williams is an adventure because his backup has a concussion. So that means Colton McKivitz is playing left tackle, and Spencer Burford playing right tackle. Like,
Banks is going to be gone? You're going to go without Banks?
I don't know. Yeah, Banks could be gone. Like, with that offensive line, I feel like they could lose to anyone. That's the worst offensive line in the league.
Yeah. It goes back to
John Garcia says how many quarterbacks? Pardon?
Goes back to everything in the offseason when everyone assumed they were going to invest in this O-line and they didn't. That could come back to bite them. Yeah.
What a shock. John Garcia says, how many quarterbacks in the league can play pass heavy with this Ravens defense and come out clean with no interceptions? It was Kyle's game plan with the second-year quarterback. Why are we all so surprised and down on Purdy?
I think we're spreading the blame around on Kyle and Brock.
That's a fair point. I'm trying to put it on Kyle. I'm with you, John. Jeffrey Franco, was that loss more on Brock or Shanahan? I'm saying Shanahan. That was John's point right now. Ryan might feel it's Brock.
I'm going to say it's 50-50 because you still got to execute. And he didn't execute.
Yeah. Tony G says, no edge rusher is worth $34 million a year. Where was Bosa? He was overrunning Lamar Jackson. I agree with that. And I feel like you look at what the Ravens do, how they build their defense. That's a great defense. I don't think they make big investments on their defensive line. They have a lot of good defensive linemen. They have Jadeveon Clowney. You can find defensive linemen. Where they're invested in is linebacker, safety, corner. Because to me, those are the guys that don't come off the field. D-line, they're platoon. Guys play 50% of the snaps. You have run defenders, pass rushers. But if you don't have two linebackers who can cover and stop the run, you're not beating the Niners.
And they have a good O-line.
That's what the Ravens have.
The Ravens have a good offensive line also.
Yes, they do.
It's a big part of the reason why our defensive line did not look as good as they normally do.
The Niners got to sort of get with the times and start investing there like all the other really good teams do. Tony G says, okay, we got you. Jeffrey Franco, was that lost more on Brock on Shanny? Life's 263 says, we don't need to start starters if we sit them down now. They will have 3 weeks to heal before first playoff game. Yeah, but you'll have
no bye week.
No bye week and a lot of road games. Just give away a bunch of wins. Did Cam have a point? Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. It's Nick for real says possible Ambry's confidence was gone due to Verrett. Verrett was playing the slot. I don't know. LA Blue 49 says tired of always seeing Bosa doing the opposite of what he said during the week is key to stopping a mobile quarterback. Shake my head. I thought he was terrible in this game, man. I'm sorry. Sorry, Nick. H says, was that the game? Dad's last game was Super Bowl versus Baltimore, and he's superstitious. Not a great Christmas gift. LOL. However, Brock is going to be fine. Brady won a Super Bowl, won an MVP, and had a game like that. We'll be okay. Merry Christmas, everyone. Okay, now so are you saying he's to be Tom Brady?
That's what we need.
That's the thing with that logic. Yeah. I don't understand that. But Merry Christmas. David Camacho says, this Niners team plays better when doubted, I hope.
It's possible that this loss is good for them. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Maybe. Lorenzo Pinto says, I said it since day one, invest in the O-line. He said it since day one.
I think all of us have, Lorenzo, except for Kyle.
Railguard 5 says, corners got torched. No Mason, and I miss McGlinchey. Yikes.
That's crazy
I feel
to
it
say out loud, but yeah.
All right. That's it for me. That's it for this show. I'm going to be back with my dad at 4 o'clock today in 2 hours. Special evening version of the Cohn Zone. And then that's that. So that's that. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, good to see you too, buddy. This is my third show for today. So I apologize if it wasn't on my A game, but it was good to see you. I'm looking forward to watching.
I couldn't tell, man. I couldn't tell. The level of professionalism was through the roof.
I appreciate it. Thank you, buddy.
See you guys. Hold on. See you guys.